Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Many people see it as a distraction. Some people say, no, it's not a distraction, it's a constitutional issue. We're talking about the letter that the president transmitted to the National Assembly. Based on Section 145, everybody has become familiar with it because it's happened 3 times in the past. This is the 4th time the president will be standing, the vice president will be standing in for the president. But this time, the fact that the president's wording, well, the wording of the president's letter, there was this aspect where it spoke of the vice president shall coordinate the activities of government. Shall coordinate the activities of government. Some people have grabbed hold of that and said that, so there's going to be a coordinating president. It's not quite the same. It doesn't do what it should be doing. But that phrase was preceded by in accordance with Section 145. And Section 145, it's not complicated. My guests this morning, Dr. Fassi Yusuf. Chief Dr. Fassi Yusuf is a lawyer and communications consultant. Thank you very much for coming on, Fassi.
My pleasure, Yori.
Indeed. And we got Mr. Ola Daniel. He's a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. Thank you, sir, for coming on as well.
Pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Fassi, let me start with you. Section 145 of the Constitution.
Subsection 1.
Subsection 1.
As amended.
As amendment. Thank you for leading me, because we are unlearned. And you are learned.
Your father was.
It's not complicated at all.
Yes.
So why this hullabaloo? The president has done the needful. Power now resides at the pleasure of the president with the vice president. But people are saying, no, you can't take that for granted. How say you?
The problem is not with the Constitution. Rather, the problem is with communication. And in communication, whoever is receiving your message must be able to decode it. And the channel must not be distorted. In this particular case, the channel was distorted, and that has given room for people to speculate, to conjecture, and to make inferences.
What does distortion mean in this sense?
That is, people are attaching different meanings to the word coordination. Whereas it would have just been okay to say, in accordance with Section 145, subsection 1 of the Constitution, I hereby inform the National Assembly that I'm proceeding on a medical trip, and the Vice President will act.
Sure. But there's absolutely nothing, and let me swing this to you if I could, Dola. There's absolutely nothing that could come after those words in accordance with Section 145, subsection 1. Nothing that could be said after that can negate anything within that said portion of the Constitution, can it?
Very well. Nothing said after that section can override the provision under that particular section. The section is clear. And what the section requires Mr. President to do is to transmit a letter to the Senate President and to the Speaker of the House that I am going on vacation, on holiday, or whatever. Is just to transmit a letter to inform them. So whether Mr. President then choose to say, my Vice President will take charge when I am not around, whatever the statement or whatever the communication he now put in that letter cannot override Section 145, subsection 1 of 99 Constitution as amended, because the provision is clearly stated on the assignment and the destination of Vice President, which becomes, it automatically transmit to acting President.
So a lot of people feel, Fassi, that this whole, I don't even know if it's a controversy yet, but this whole, let it be said, distraction to some is unnecessary, but we seem to enjoy our talk.
No, you see, this is a country where we don't trust ourselves. People read meanings to everything, every intent, every intention, every act, every inaction, or whatever of any public official. Whether it is well-intentioned or not, people read meanings. It is because as a nation we have not advanced beyond these primordial sentiments. You see, maybe a mischief maker was at play, or perhaps some people within the presidency who just want to play with words and not the rest, because we all agreed that the injection of the word coordination was absolutely uncalled for, unnecessary. But then, nobody has penetrated the mind of whoever wrote that letter, or whoever drafted that letter for the president to sign. Mind you, it won't be the president that will type the letter. It will just be for the president to sign the letter. And perhaps he will have taken it that his chief of staff or his private secretary will have satisfied themselves or himself that what was sent to him for signature was in order. So we will have been safe all these
my only concern
problems of having to come up to be discussing that. Rather, we should be talking about how do we advance as a nation? How do we get out of the economic doldrums, the economic quagmire we found ourselves over the last years?
Indeed, but the part that worries me a bit about Fassy's position is that if someone did indeed write it for the president, and let's say this person just for just thinking so but not conceding so, the president is not that far gone that he won't see what was effectively maybe one, at most two paragraphs. It's not going to be a verbose letter. It's a set piece. So my worry is that if indeed it goes the way Fassy said, and the president, as I said, just thinking about it but not conceding it, and some mischief maker had slipped in something in there, the president would have seen it and said, "My friend, what's this rubbish? Take it out. Take it away. And what's this all about?" Unless, and that's what's embedded in Fassy's submission, the president was not in a position to see it, and somebody knew that and was able to take advantage. Me, I'm imputing all of that.
Please.
Any more imputed.
I said the president wouldn't have attached any weight to it.
Thank you, because that is where that is
Yes.
might not have attached any weight
Thank you.
to the particular
Thank you,
wording.
wordings.
Yes.
Yes, the particular wordings. You see, we talk about communication. We started with that.
Because he's an expert in that field.
Great. Now, when you write to me and I read, and the understanding of whatever you are transmitted to me is what you also, meant. Now, it takes a third person to read and pick something different from what you sent to me, because all I pick from what you sent to me is what, as in, is your mind. Now, the third person is not seeing it that way. So if Mr. President, it's possible Mr. President saw it, and to him, like he said, he didn't put any weight into that particular wordings. Now, let's go further. To coordinate, as far as I'm concerned, my interpretation could mean even Mr. President, even before he left, he is coordinating the affairs of the nation. So that's the reason why he said he may not put weight in the word coordinate. Now he's saying, yes, I am going to be away. Now, but Vice President will coordinate the affairs of the nation, knowing fully well that Section 145, subsection 1, had given Vice President power to become the acting president. No doubt about that. But he only added that phrase to coordinate.
Overdue.
Thank you.
Overdue.
And
Vice President Shibajo himself on Twitter had actually, in responding to a question there, asserted that the president did transfer power to me. Although, in one sort of way, people have looked for that particular tweet and have not been able to find it since, but there is a record that the vice president actually did put out there. That yes, the president did transmit to him. For the avoidance of doubt, the fact, what would guide, when you gentlemen talk about communication, the fact that he started out by saying, the letter started out by saying, in accordance with Section 145, subsection 1. It's like anything else, you understand my meaning?
As I said, any other thing was a surplusage. To any other person, or to any other ordinary person, not even a lawyer, it will amount to nothing. As I said, it could have been somebody making a mountain out of a molehill. But as I said, this is a country of mischief makers. You see, some busybody, some meddlesome interlopers, may even want to test the validity of that letter. They want to even subject that letter to the interpretation of the judiciary.
Yes, if they could.
What I'm saying, it could have been better if we had saved ourselves this headache, and instead of debating things that are absolutely uncalled for or necessary, we should be able to move forward than where we are. But I mean, this is just for our public officers, people who are in government, to be circumspect in the use of words that can bring selective interpretation should be avoided.
You know, I think it goes without saying, just as you have indicated, that we have the situation that we have now where we're wasting a lot of time, quite frankly, discussing this whole matter. Somebody called in yesterday and was concerned that, look, this whole controversy hadn't broken as fully as this, and his concern was that, how are you sure that the whole apparatus in State House of the president will be loyal to the vice president?
Yes.
And we were saying, what kind of talk is that? It's one presidency. Where does this matter of loyalty of staff come from? Let me take a break and then come back, and so we won't have any interruptions when we go to
I empathize with you.
And we'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Welcome back. So why are we so suspicious of each other is one question you could conceivably ask. And I'm bringing that from a caller yesterday. We were discussing something that's related yesterday, and he had called in and said, look, I just wanted to point out to you guys that there is no guarantee that the whole apparatus of Mr. President, such as it is now in Aso Rock, is going to be loyal to the vice president. And I just wanted you guys to chip that in. Of course, we didn't put much stock on it. We said, for goodness sake. But let me bring that idea, this idea to you.
It is real. I was involved.
It is real.
I was involved.
Well, you've been in government before.
In any political system, even in any social system, there is bound to be a mole within that system. And again, you can commoditize, or you can segment situation into several scenarios. Some are benefiting from the present situation. Mm-hmm. Some benefiting from the past. Some are benefiting from the present. Some are not benefiting. Now, let's take the case of the presidency. The president has traveled. Powers are definitely out of some people's hands now.
Okay.
Now, the vice president is taking charge. Some people will be left in the limbo.
Mm-hmm.
Even the chief of staff to the president, no matter how powerful he is less relevant now. Because whatever he does, he has to channel to the acting president. The chief press secretary or the special advisor to the president of media publicity will have less job to do now. Laudu will be doing his job.
Because he's the spokesman for the vice president.
So there are going to be a lot of power play, and it is to be expected.
In the same presidency?
It's everywhere, even in America, I tell you. Trump fired CIA boss, fired FBI boss, fired his own chief of staff. All within, when did he assume office? Less than 6 months. But it's everywhere. So, but it is because we are a nation yet to be fused. Mm-hmm. And we don't trust ourselves.
Okay. Would you concede that, Mochola?
Yeah,
that there's a certain measure of distrust, not between the principals as far as we can see, because when the president came back, he was full of, he had high praise for Professor Shibajo. Yes. And all the while Professor Shibajo was conducting his business, he was doing so in the most dignified way possible. Yes, and so there's happiness between two, working colleagues there. One clearly the president, the other the vice president. So where all this other one where the suspicion is coming in, I wonder how important you think it's going to be.
Now the question I'm going to ask is, who has the interest of Nigeria in mind? The interest of the nation, and not about an individual.
Yes.
I always say this.
Yeah, that's to answer your question, that would be the president and vice president. That would be the vice president and vice president.
I'm going somewhere because seriously, if we are patriots, and everything that comes to our mind first is about the nation, I'm sure we're not going to be where we are today.
No,
Mr. Folarin, Mr. Folarin,
you're just saying this a la textbook.
Mr. Folarin, let's look at this way. Let's look at it.
You're talking about the ideal scenario.
Utopia. Let us look at it this way. Section 142, subsection 1, brought Mr. President and Vice President together on one platform. They came in together as one, not two.
And this same thing was in place during the Obasanjo-Atiku presidency as well.
Don't forget. Don't forget that it has amended.
Okay.
So a number of things are in Constitution today that we're enjoying today that were not there in 1999. And don't forget the people that drafted 1999 Constitution.
Okay.
So they didn't have us in mind. They have themselves
in
mind.
I'm just talking about Obasanjo-Atiku presidency.
Yes. No. Yes, Atiku, Obasanjo, yeah, we're still going to come back to the Constitution because some people felt they are more powerful than the provision of the Constitution. They are the law and not the Constitution. And that is the reason why we see what we see every day, particularly Obasanjo and Atiku. It's clear. And like we are saying, all this brouhaha is not necessary. The Constitution is clear. Mr. President, let me also correct something, because some people are of the opinion that, yes, Mr. President is supposed to transfer power to Vice President to become acting. That is not true.
How do you mean?
Thank you. That is not the provision of the Constitution. The Constitution did not give Mr. President to transfer power to Mr. Vice President. He only made provision for Mr. President to transmit a letter to the
National Assembly.
National Assembly, to Mr. President of the Speaker of the House. Now, once he carry out his own assignment that the Constitution has allowed him to do, then the Constitution automatically transmit that same power to Vice President as the acting president. It's still the same Constitution that is at work. The provision of the Constitution, not an individual to decide. Which
is where Saraki was going when he read the letter. Yes. Before he was then made an objection, and that objection was heard about the ambiguity of the word coordinator, and then that was knocked down by yet another senator. Then Senate President threw it out. And nevertheless, we still are carrying the can now.
You see, I empathize with my brother, my learned colleague. You see, the workings of government is different from what you have in the Constitution. The Constitution may make express provision for the transmission of such to the National Assembly. But in practice, it may not be so.
Why?
Well, that is what we operate.
In practice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But I thought it's there to guide us.
Excuse me.
Yes, the grand norm is the grand norm to guide us.
The Constitution is the grand norm. It is supposed to be obeyed. But are we a country that obeys the Constitution, or we're a country that thrives in disobeying the Constitution? I won't answer that question.
Because if anybody, if anybody fails to be in compliance with the Constitution, this country, we speak, he will be picked up immediately.
Listen, excuse me, how many people have been picked up? How many people have been picked up? You see, let us be realistic. That we are lucky that the President and the Vice President are in congruence. They are working together as a team. Yes. I knew the mischief you were trying to cause by talking about Obasanjo and Atiku.
I said,
I'm not saying anything.
Is it not facts? No. Did those two people not run our affairs?
You are trying to remind us of the ugly past.
Because he was saying to me that the Constitution does this and that. I said, was that part still in place when Obasanjo and Atiku were there?
So thereafter, what followed?
That's why you people are here. So we're complicating this thing more than necessary.
No, the point is this. You see, the president, if they were not working in harmony, or if they were not synchronizing, you see, yes, the vice president is now the acting president, but he might just be floating. It might just be floating, and that's not anybody will do. You will not know. You just be hearing the babble of voices from Aso Rock. Things are falling apart.
Well, Fassi, you see, I've got to hand it to you because you've been in government before.
Yes.
But I think that's a bit rich. That
I'm telling you,
vice presidents.
I'm telling you that it is because
forget that
it is because there is harmony.
Okay.
It is because there's synchronization between the president and the vice president. If the president does not trust the vice president, he will not give him the latitude to perform. He will not give him the latitude, and nobody will be the vice president, especially the service chiefs, especially the chief of staff, especially the head of service. They will just be giving him excuses. Civil servants know how to do things. They want to make things difficult for you.
And that's in a regime that is not serious. And I see. I'm
saying we are lucky. I'm saying we are lucky. I'm saying we are lucky.
But this is not child's play.
I'm saying we are lucky. We are lucky that things are happening this way. But no matter what, the vice president is a gentleman by excellence. Sure. He's a wonderful guy. He's doing his job, and he has the support of the president, and that's the way it should be. Indeed. But I'm saying it is not every time we have such a situation.
I agree.
You also remember during the time of Babangida, when he fired Ukiwe.
A bit Ukiwe.
So things like that. Remember the case of Abacha and Dia.
We can't be using the military.
You know.
Obasanjo and Atiku.
Yes. No. But don't forget that they just came in as the military.
Now it is you bringing up Obasanjo and Atiku now.
The military, because even Obasanjo came in, he was a military man.
But gentlemen,
Buhari was not a military man.
No, not Buhari. We're talking about maybe Yar'Adua. You wanted to talk about Yar'Adua.
No,
because the time has moved beyond
you see, you said something.
We are lucky.
First he said the vice president is a consummate gentleman. So is the president.
Very well.
So that is why we have this harmony going on between them. They're both gentlemen. They both know how to behave, have behaved appropriately. And then the rest of us, as people would like to say locally, whose headache is it, and who is it that is drinking APC? Or shall we say Kafanol for clarity? who is it that is drinking Kafanol? Where the matter is, it is sorted. There is no issue. And then the rest of some mischief makers and the rest of us are now engaging all of this. And it's unfortunate because it is pointing to a distrust that we have for each other. There seems to be this distrust, which is very, very important. Fastie's brought it up that it exists in all governments. You go back, whether state governments, whether the central government, there's this thing that goes on. But we were hoping that in the light of what has happened in the past and the mutual words of respect, mutual respect that have been expressed between the two gentlemen, this shouldn't be happening. But let me go on a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Well, in this section, we'll open the phone so that you could weigh in if you want. I think we've established here that there's very little more to this than the whole matter of saying it in the crudest form possible. It's about largesse and what some people are gaining and what some people will be losing because of this temporary situation where the president is out of town and the vice president is in place. And it's sad that it's nothing more noble than that, all this whole rubbish, really, from the point of view of some people.
I will start by applauding Mr. President and Acting President, applauding the relationship, the exchange they have. And I hope even others, people working with them, will emulate the same. But what do we have? Seriously, because if they do, we're not going to have some people, some mischiefs, that all they are waiting for is an opportunity to get whatever they can get, opportunity to hold on to whatever they can hold on, and they don't care whether the nation moves forward. What I expect we do at this moment, rather than debating and making noise about the letter, what I expect we do is to give the acting president maximum support. To an average Nigerian, how does this letter translate to food on their table?
That's because there is much work to be done, is the point you are making.
Yes,
and here we are frittering away time.
Let me
bring Mazi Okoroafo into this conversation. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Good morning.
Speaking, the issue that we are facing in this country is the issue of semantics in English language. I agree, whether coordinator or acting or what, whether no acting, because there's nothing wrong. But the question is that a situation whereby the president said, right, continue, and no matter the language, it's okay. Now, can you imagine what is happening before? Where the governor will be traveling, he will go and bring speaker or commissioner to be asking. You see, thank God that the president said coordinator or whether he said acting. What we see on the other hand is acting. Let us follow the language. It will help us because Nigeria is our country. What we'll be praying now is that God to help us, let things be moving the way God has designed it for us, not for other human beings to come and thwart or turn the whole thing into upside down. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mazi, for calling in. Hello. Thank you very much for calling in. Just to reiterate it, everything was done in accordance and under the provision of Section 145, subsection 1, right?
Yes.
Amended, as amendment.
As amended.
Because first put that one for me, as amended.
Amended.
But here we are, we're still talking. It smacks of selfishness. Some people would say it smacks of selfishness. But then it also smacks perhaps of a lack of detachment where people are really just concerned about the job and nothing else. And I don't know when we're going to come to that, because you were the person who was saying very rightly that whoever is looking for that now is looking a bit at the idealistic state of affairs.
Yes, as I said, there's a lot of disconnect between those in government and those that are being led. See, they're detached. If only they will appreciate where they were coming from and they were able to know where we should be heading to, then I think things will be a lot better in this country. But we look at issues from parochial viewpoint. And you see, we are concerned with primordial things in this country. We've not really developed as a nation. That it is only when I have my man there that this country can make progress. You see, in other climes, nobody cares whoever the president is. Nobody cares who the governor is. Nobody cares who the mayor is. The important thing is service delivery.
But here,
the
vice president is seen as somebody's man. The president is seen as somebody's man.
It is when I have my man there.
Yes.
But why should we look up to the state government, the federal government, before we get anything done?
And that is part of the problem. Mr. Bamidele from Mushin, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. We Yorubas, we seem to forget him easily. We have forgotten the past of Awolowo's two-third, how they manipulated the whole issues then. Then we have forgotten of Abiola on conclusive election, how a court annulled everything. These people, whoever put that clause, that very word of coordinating, has got a certain mischievous something in mind. We must not be carried away with any sentiment something. Let's be realistic with ourselves. They have been manipulating things in the past. People from the north, we must face the fact. If we fail to face the fact, if the northerners are the ones pointing this thing out, what do you mean? So it is when it comes to us tomorrow now, we'll be shouting. They can manipulate anything with that very clause. If anybody likes it, take it or not.
Okay.
We have suffered in past. It is we Yorubas that have always accommodated everybody. We want everybody to come to us. We don't even bother whoever gets into power. Whoever does it well is what we stand for. But when it comes to their own thoughts, they manipulate everything in the way they like. And you think that is the number something. Let's face the fact, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Before you come, let me correct certain things.
Sure.
You see, it pains me as a Nigerian when we approach issues from sectional viewpoints. You see, all the issues our gentleman canvas have no place in scientific analysis. Number one, the issue of 12 tutors was canvassed by your mama. The issue of Akitola and Awolowo that later snowballed into January 15, 1966, was between Awolowo and Akintola, Yoruba people. The issue of Abiola Chu, who was brought in, a Yoruba man. So let's stop this blame game and face issues scientifically. How do I see? It pains me that we have not grown beyond all these primordial sectional sentiments.
We haven't.
Sorry, I sympathize with the caller. However, I say this all the time. Until we stop seeing ourselves as Ibibio, Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, Igbo, and we start seeing ourselves as a nation called Nigeria, we will not move forward.
Yeah, we do see ourselves as that.
Yeah.
We do see ourselves as Nigerians.
No.
It's only,
no.
You see,
okay, you might say,
you might say it's mundane, but let the Super Eagles be playing. Who is an Igbo then? Who is an Ibibio then?
Sorry,
you say it's mundane, right?
No. To an extent, you said, but immediately the match is over. So what happens? It's everywhere in the world. Everywhere you go in the world, when it comes to football, well, we can say
I'm
football
just saying that some
value
things
to this.
galvanize us.
But when reality is done on us, when the football is over and the reality is done, what do you have? You have the Igbo, you have the Hausa, you have the Yoruba, you have the Ibibio,
and you think that is part of the problem surfacing now?
Yes,
it's part of it.
But even
okay, let me bring in Ishak in Jos. Thank you for holding on all that while. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Did you hear me, Ishak?
Yes, I can
Ishak
hear you.
in Jos.
Good morning.
Well, even at that, have you ever had people say that?
Good morning and good morning to you.
I understand Ishak is speaking, but we couldn't hear. Okay. Mr. Ishak, are you speaking?
Hello?
We can't hear you.
Yes, I'm speaking. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to your guests. I'm Ishak. I'm from Jos.
Sure.
I think the hula balu on the issue of the letter and the issue of President's letter to the Senate and to the National Assembly, I think it's not necessary. What we needed is just the communication from the President to the National Assembly that he's going on leave, and automatically the VP becomes the acting president, regardless of the tune of the letter. But however, our major problem in this country is ethnic. And we need to go beyond that if we must develop as a nation. Is it simply some people are not happy because Osibanjo is a Yoruba instruction for him to be in acting capacity because we passed through the same road before? I think it's not necessary.
Yeah.
We should see ourselves as one. Nigeria is greater than any ethnic. We are first of all a nation before ethnic groups. So we should put aside our nepotism and other ethnic bias.
Yeah. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you very much for calling in. Because when people say this is not necessary, where I'm coming from in agreeing with all of that is that you cannot take any part of the Constitution and say, well, it stands subject to this amendment or subject to this limitation that I am putting. Nobody can do that. So if you start off saying everything is based on Section 145, subsection 1, you can even edit out the rest and just go to the Constitution and see what that section says, and you got your answer. You know.
It is not that simple. I've told you that
the human being aspect of it.
That as a lawyer, a mountain can be made out of a molehill.
True.
Which is mischievous.
Well,
I agree with you.
Call it whatever you like.
Yes.
There are many mischief.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Christian calling in from Unilag. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay.
Yes.
We're waiting for you.
Can you hear me?
You got
slightly distorted.
Go ahead and speak. Let's see if it's going to work.
Okay. I have listened to the contribution.
I'm afraid that line isn't good. It's dropping out. It's dropping in and out, therefore making you incomprehensible. We're so sorry about this. See if you can disconnect and reconnect, and even in the middle of a sentence, I'll come straight to you if you can make it back in. Thank you very much for calling in, Christian from Unilag. I interrupted you.
Yes, as I was saying that, you see, some lawyers, it is because lawyers find it difficult to agree on issues. That's why the court is there for adjudication. Some lawyers may just want to test the validity of that letter. They want to test the interpretation. They want the court to interpret that letter or to declare a certain aspect of that letter as irrelevant.
Just like Obasanjo asked for interpretation of the Constitution, what does it mean when Lagos wanted to go?
Yes.
So you just see mischief all over the
It's
place.
not necessarily mischief.
Well, seriously, it has not come to any interpretation of this particular section. I doubt if any lawyer will come and be asking for the interpretation of that particular sections of the Constitution or the letter, being that he has seen the foundation of the letter. Every other wordings, every other sentence that follow the foundation on that letter is null and void because as far as that particular section is concerned.
The foundation is that 145.
1451, subsection 1, or as amended. Don't forget that he only says Mr. President should transmit the letter. It did not say Mr. President should state whether Mr. Vice President is supposed to act
as a
to
coordinator
be an actor or as a
or whatever.
So it's irrelevant.
Mr. Aliu, good morning to you in Niger State.
Good morning, Mr. Yuri.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, our guest.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Yuri, concerning this issue of this letter, I am looking at it from another angle, going beyond the issue of our ethnicity and everything.
Okay.
The issue is that, you see, when this country is going well, it is not only jollof rice that Nigerians are good in cooking. We are very good in cooking issues. Whenever there is something going on that is very good to our nation, there are some people there, they are looking for what are they going to do to divert the attention of the polity. Their job is hitting it. That's just what they do. And they do these things because of the problem that we are always trying to run away from. Some of us have went beyond the issue of looking at things from those values that affect who we are. And by that, you will find out that some people will be doing those things simply because they don't want somebody to succeed there because it is not their own that is there. But thank God all of us understand English, though it is not our birth language, but all of us have understand it, and thank God the Constitution is clear. Though that it is clear, this thing is not even an issue. We are not just good in only cooking jollof rice.
Yes.
We are also good in cooking issues, Mr. Yori.
Cooking something out of nothing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Because I can't imagine there's any judge whatsoever in this country that will come and say that there's anything wrong with Section 145, subsection 1.
Yori, I would not said anything. Nobody in his sane mind. But what you are saying is that anybody, don't forget that it's my right to approach the court.
Okay.
I hear you. For the interpretation of any aspect I'm not too clear about.
I take that.
What I'm saying is that some people might say it's a surplusage. Some people might say it's superfluous. Some people might say, look, I don't understand the meaning of this thing.
So
Court, please tell me.
You know what we should have done? We should have ignored it and just...
I said that from the beginning.
Yes, if you were to ignore it, why did you bring us here?
Okay, stay with us. We're going to break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. The home stretch now. Dr. Fasi Yusuf and Ola Daniel in the studio, and we're looking at the letter that the President transmitted to the National Assembly in accordance with Section 145, subsection 1 of the 99 Constitution as amended. It is, to some people, entirely appropriate as should be. But then a whole, another set of people are saying that there's mischief at foot. And I was saying before we went away that maybe even if we had ignored all of this and just gone on to some other topic, and then it would just die a natural death. But Fasi was cautioning that, no, well, not necessarily so, that these things are not as simple as that. You've always maintained that in government, if not governance, in government, there's this kind of confusion, it can be taken as a given. People just want to make this kind of, in one presidency.
You see, politics, dynamics of power, politics at play. And again, I think haven't moved from this issue now. And I think we should be setting an agenda for the vice president while the president is away.
We should be setting agenda for him.
For the acting president.
For the acting president.
Why the
because
president?
he is that. He is the acting president.
Yes.
Nobody's going to call him coordinating president.
Yes.
No.
Mr. Adekunle in London. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, my name is Adekunle from London. My regards to our guests in the studio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to start by saying that concerning the letter, we are in a serious problem in that country. You all know.
Which country?
Which country?
Which country? Which country? Which country is that country?
Nigeria.
Our country.
Yes,
Our country.
Rather, my country.
Okay. Okay.
Better.
And we will fix our problem. Nobody is going to fix it for us. And we are all our tools to fix it. But I want to say that we appreciate the cordial relationship between the Mr. President and the Vice President. But concerning this letter, sir, they've got it wrong. And we will speak. In Yoruba language, we used to say, the houses that is not going to destroy, what they normally do there is talking. And we will continue to talk. The first letter we saw it, no hulabalu. The second letter, we all witnessed it, no hulabalu. Why this letter is so different? Why? And that question they need to ask us. Whoever wrote that letter must come forward and tell us the reason behind that coordinating. We all know that acting president must be coordinating. Why do you have to let the word in the constitution which says it has to be what's it called? Acting president.
Yeah. But Mr. Adekunle, you remember that it was preceded, whatever substance, this whole coordinating matter was preceded by in accordance with section 145 subsection 1. And then that other one came on. Isn't that enough for you that there is no ambiguity, there is no wahala?
Mr. Yori, we need to be true to ourselves. With section 101, whatever section in the constitution has to go with any word that is going to go with it. We shouldn't separate it. This country is our country, and we know how things should be done.
Okay.
And one of our guests said something there, which I want to call his attention to it. Can you tell me which country that their citizens will just be looking and anybody is just anyone that just wants to become their prime minister or their president? No, because anybody can become their prime minister, not just anybody, because they have what it takes. They have the facilities on ground. They have everything to become who they are. But our own is not like that. We are just growing. And we will continue to be growing in this way.
Okay. So, Mr. Adekunle, you think there's mischief involved?
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think I will start on that note to say, one, for the mischiefs, I'm sorry to disappoint them that this will not fly. And I'm sure they are disappointed as we speak, the mischiefs, because whatever the plan was or the intention of the mischief were...
The mischief makers, eh?
Mischief makers were on the letter. Of course, they can see that it won't fly and it won't go anywhere. That is one. Two, it is clear as we speak, we have an acting president because there is no government or governance anywhere in the world that can be in vacuum. Someone must be in. So now we have an acting president. Then three, what I will ask our people, Nigerians, to do is to support Mr. Acting President.
I think you can take that for granted. Really.
Yes, to do the needful. We need food on the table. The economy is bad. Let it grow.
The pressing issues. The pressing issues
that we need to pick up
Mr.
now.
John in Abuja, good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in. Mr. John in Abuja, good morning, sir. Mr. John, final call for Mr. John in Abuja. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Oh. Please go ahead now.
Good morning, Mr. Emma and your guest.
Good morning. Thank you.
You see, like the person from London said, we cannot continue to do things as if we are not organized people. People who wrote that letter from Mr. President, they took advantage of ill health. Why should say coordinating president or coordinating...
coordinating the affairs of government.
conduct the affairs of government. It's absolutely wrong. Why they want to make sure that the vice president or the acting president or whatever the case may will not be able to undertake certain decisions.
Yeah, but that's not what Section 145 says.
It doesn't matter. They have something behind their mind before they did that, and we should condemn such people. In fact, the president when he comes back, and if this is true, such people should not stay in the government because there are people causing problems. We have drafted that letter.
Okay, thank you. People are not taking this as some careless slip or...
Excuse me, I've said this several times. You don't want to buy my argument, no problem. But the point I'm saying is this. We might not have seen the end to this letter, of this letter. Some people might want a judicial interpretation of the content of that letter, or that letter should be set aside.
Okay.
Or that aspect that is offensive should be expunged.
Okay. These are things that lawyers can do.
These are probabilities. But ordinarily, it's a distraction. Ordinarily, is the job of somebody who is not schooled in effective communication.
Indeed.
Or a mischief maker at play. But again, let's move forward. The point I want to make is this. Let us pray for sustainability and enhancement of the activities the acting president will be performing in the absence of the president. You see, because we had a lull. We had a lull. There was a slowdown of the tempo when the president came back. All those things the acting president did whilst the president was away suddenly slowed down. So we are going to see the momentum advancing now. But as soon as the president comes back, which we all pray for, it must be sustained. Not only sustained, it must be enhanced.
Indeed.
Otherwise, it is one step forward, two steps backward.
Well, in closing now, final word now.
Yeah, I don't think, in final, I don't think this letter should spring up any surprises any further. Reason being that this letter and the provision of the Constitution didn't state the provision of the Constitution. The provision of the Constitution. The provision of the Constitution didn't say the letter should be written to someone. It stated who the letter should be addressed to categorically.
As part of the process.
Thank you. Now, the Senate President received the letter, and where objections was raised by a member of the House, what happened? Mr. Senate President brought it down, and all that was closed. And we know we have an acting president as we speak.
Indeed.
And what we should be looking at way forward to support him to take this country to another level rather than all these ulal balu and bra of what is not necessary.
Much ado about nothing. Thank you very much, Mr. Ola Daniel, public affairs analyst and lawyer, and Chief Dr. Fasi Yusuf, lawyer and communications consultant. Thank you very much for your perspectives and guidances on how to understand this and put context on it. A lot of people think it's no more than a distraction, but then we've added our bit by coming on air and spending the past 1 hour on it. We'll be back, God willing, for a fresh edition of the program tomorrow. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.